Now, you also have said in past discussions that there was a plot that Roberts was allegedly a part of, where they discussed murdering other judges on the Supreme Court under a Hillary Clinton administration. Can you give me some amplifying details on that?
This is something the FBI had set up under their guidance from the political people. Going to be a false flag. This has gone out 2 years almost before the election. And it was a sovereign citizen group. Obama did not want any terrorism unless it was white terrorism. So this is a sovereign citizen group that the FBI had infiltrated and armed and instigated against other targets. They were, for the most part, pro-America, but they were racist in some of their origins. They were, a lot of them were divorce fathers with a grudge against the court system anyway, and the FBI people had infiltrated and exploited this. They moved them up to the level of assassinating federal judges, political people, things like that. If you want the names, I can tell you. So anyway, part of their plot was various types of attacks on the Supreme Court to take out as many judges as they could. Roberts was aware of this. He actually provided some scheduling. So apparently the justices are not all there at one time. They come and go as they please. And these three would be working on something, these three. And he provided this to the group so they could finalize their plans. They were very, very close in what they were trying to do. They were given explosives, all types of automatic weapons. They had rocket launchers. And they were very close to it. They were going to assassinate Epstein sailors, a federal judge in Massachusetts, Martha Coakley, Lisa Monaco and her family. They were going to make that look like a home invasion and film it until later when they needed it. And this was their initial attack plan, and then the Supreme Court. This was a group I'd infiltrated on their request. And when I found out what they were doing, that they were going to attack these judges, when they were going to attack the Supreme Court, I tried to end run them. I had minders, people kept tabs on me. I had FBI minders, but I tried to end run them and expose it. And I took all the evidence. I went to Homeland Security, who were overwhelmed and called in the FBI. And then the DOJ came right back on me, and they picked me up just a few weeks later when they found out who I was. And but the damage to their plots had been done. They did get close to assassinating people up there. Lisa Monaco, the judge, were under 24/7 security. Martha Coakley had in-state security. And it did prevent them from going after the Supreme Court, although their plans were all out. They had maps, they had the weapons, they had everything planned. So at least it prevented something like that.
Now, were the teams that were supposed to do the actual operations against the judges, were those Americans, or were they foreign?
No, they were Americans. A third would be the sovereign citizen group, and 2/3 would be FBI people, or people working with the FBI. They were going to get rid of them anyway. They actually had recordings of when they were planning on the phone with me as part of this group, and then they did not hang up the phone. They did not kill the phone. And we were listening to them talk about killing me and my wife, things like that. And another time they actually butt dialed me. And we're talking about, he was on the phone talking to various people and about their plans, about who they're going after and what they were going to do to us because we knew too much and we were outside at the time. So they could not do their plan. We got the people under surveillance. We saved them. I was given credit for saving them. They were very upset that their plans had gone. The crowd were very upset with me, especially when they came and picked me up. But it stopped it. Their plans were written out. They had maps, they had surveillance, they had quite a bit of equipment.
What was the timeline that they were hoping to do this in?
This would be right after, within the first year of Hillary Clinton's presidency. She was not supposed to lose. So this was all planned up, and it was more than just that. It was twofold. They wanted to pack the court, to take out as many as they could. Roberts was actually helping because he didn't want to be one of them, and he wanted some choice in who would be on the bench after that. He wanted to maintain some form of control. So he did provide information. But it was supposed to be done within the first year of Hillary Clinton's campaign so that they could ban firearms as well, and pack the court. So they had plenty of time to do that. That was their two main goals.
Do you believe the death of Anton Scalia was a part of this same plot, or is that? Do you know if that was a separate?
It was the same people. He was a backup plan. He was their biggest threat. I mean, the most conservative justice. Justice Scalia, actually, I believe he found out about this, the plans, and he went to the White House like a week before his death. I believe he found out what they were trying to do. When they moved away from the overall attack of where these people lived, or they would attack around the holidays when more than one justice would be in their home, things like this. And again, Roberts was providing this, but they had to take him out. He was seen as their biggest obstacle. So the same basic group that was involved were given access to the ranch where he was found. They talked about how they did it. They had a couple different options, but it was discussed prior to his death what they intended to do, where they could possibly do it, how they could do it, who they would need. The records are there at the Cibolo Ranch. One person was brought in, so there was 3 men. One person was brought in as a temp worker. The other 2, same team, were brought in as servants from a group that was there hunting. And they discussed how it was done, that they used DIMSO, dimethyl suboxide, which is a fairly inert chemical, just goes through your skin. But if you mix it with a poison or a drug or something like that, it'll go directly into your system and overload you. I believe that's why he was found with the pillow over his face. He was struggling to breathe. He couldn't breathe. He was choking. And this particular chemical you can tailor to the person. If they have a drug problem, you can put fentanyl in it and overdose them. If they have a heart condition, it would take very little to go directly in. It would be like a direct injection into the heart. And they talked about how they did it. And Roberts is on the phone with these people discussing the successor. He wanted a say in it because now it was only going to be one person. He wanted to pick that person. And he wanted a say in who was going to take it. And of course, there was a lot of people that were talking about Eric Holder taking it, all kinds of people. But he wanted a say in who was going to take over Justice Scalia's spot. And I don't think he got it. I mean, obviously it didn't happen because President Trump was here. But he did want it, and this was all prior to discussions and him complaining that he wasn't getting any say prior to his death, his sudden death. So it was well known. And
so aside from Roberts being waiting on this, did Rosenstein or anyone outside of the White House, had they been made aware of the plans, perhaps in Hillary's camp, that you could speak about?
Oh, Hillary and Obama knew about it. I mean, it was supposed to be done under her watch, her first term, so that they could pack the court. I started working directly with Rob Rosenstein in Baltimore. And because of the access, many other agencies, FBI, for instance, would come for corroboration of something they were working on, or just to ask questions if I'd seen something like this, if this related to anything. And it grew from there. And because of the undercover nature of many of the investigations I worked on, terrorists or things like that, domestic terrorism within the country, they kept me fairly well concealed. And access was limited to a certain group headed by Rob Rosenstein. It became known as the Dirty Trick Squad in Baltimore. This is where they were using hammer, sunrise, sunset, things like that, to illegally spy on people, corrupt, attempted to corrupt judges, compromise them, Hillary Clinton, others. I mean, it was just ongoing. They concentrated on judges, but they wanted to concentrate on this. It was done under the guise of a CSIPS operation. It's a DOJ CSIPS computer operation. It was run out of Fort Washington, but at a satellite location in Baltimore. And it would illegally compromise people, illegally wiretap, break into computers, plant, reverse, change information, change emails, things of that nature. And it was in this capacity of working with them that information about the judges and Roberts and Pence and things like that have come out. I've tried several times in the past to get it out and was thoroughly squashed by Rod and the DOJ and the FBI to a horrible extent. I tried to get in 2015, tried to end run them and go to the Department of Homeland Security. And once I went there with a pile of evidence and some video and audio recordings. It got too large for them, I suppose, but it made its way back to the FBI and DOJ, and they came down on us again. This was 2015. In 2016, I made a video discussing quite a bit of this in an effort to get it to Devin Nunes, who was the head of the House Intelligence Committee at the time, but there was interference from one of the people involved. He messed that all up, so it went largely unnoticed. But on the video, I tried to warn President Trump about the people that he was dealing with daily, and especially Rod, Pence, things like that, as they were working together to remove him, trying to compromise the people around them, get dirt on anyone they possibly could.